All right, my friends, welcome back to All Cars Reacts. It is time to continue our compact sport utility mini series of the mid to late 2000s, and today it is the 2007 Mitsubishi Outlander. Everything you need to know about this vehicle can be summarized this way. When I started this mini-series, I made a list of every compact sport utility I could think of. Obviously, the CR-V, the RAV4, Escape, Equinox, Forester, things like that. I had to stumble across an article that mentioned this because I totally forgot it existed. And that immediately made it interesting to me and got moved up the production schedule here. So I'm excited to see what Motorweek said about this one. So as always, you and I are going to sit down and reminisce and see if we remember anything about this. I have some thoughts at the end, which are Mitsubishi. Grab a beverage of choice. We have switched to decaf here this morning. And let's see what they said when it was new.
Your host for Motorweek, John Davis.
Well, hello and welcome again to Motorweek. We're glad to have you with us. When Mitsubishi introduced the compact Outlander crossover utility vehicle for 2003, it was at the leading edge of what is becoming an exploding people mover segment. Now, only 4 years later, the all-new second-generation 2007 Outlander is poised for competition. It's a bit larger and more powerful and has enough unique features to make it a standout. But with so many new rivals, will anyone notice? The first thing we noticed about the all-new 2007 Mitsubishi Outlander is how well it balances the sea of aspects that make a successful crossover utility vehicle. Mindful of its car and truck duality, this second-generation effort also delivers a proper dose of innovation as well. Like the Mazda CX-7, the Outlander's arched exterior and prominent wheel arches suggest the essence of a sports sedan.
I would like to say, we'll talk more about the styling in a minute, but I would like to say there are some things about this that scream Ford freestyle to me. I think it's in the ABC pillars and the wheel arches. I'd need to see a picture of one side by side, but there's been a couple of moments already I'm like, freestyle, I think. Anyway, let's look at some more here.
The body is sharp and sleek, yet still boxy enough to be useful. The new look diamond cut front end leads with wraparound headlights and a 3-bar trapezoidal grille. LED taillights flank the rear and an unconventional split hatch with a short flip-down tailgate. 16-inch tires and rims are standard on ES and LS trim, while our XLS tester rode atop truck-worthy 18-inch aluminum alloys. Based on the same unibody architecture as the upcoming 2008 Lancer and recently introduced Dodge Caliber, the Outlander has grown larger in all directions. Wheelbase is 105.1 inches with an overall length of 182.7 inches. All Outlander...
Whoa, no. We are going to talk about the styling. All right, going back to this picture, I like it. I like it a lot. But I fall short of loving it. And you know, I'm probably about halfway through the miniseries right now and recording these, and not a darn one of them is getting, you know, setting my heart on fire here. You know what I mean? The CR-V probably is the most boring but best looking of them. All the other ones are something is just off about all of the styling. And I've mentioned before, when I looked at the small cars and the mid-sized cars, this whole generation, I should have never started it because, gosh, apparently I don't like the mid to late 2000s very much. But as I've gone through this, you know, I loved the Escape, and the Equinox looks better. As I look at other of these SUVs, the more I like the Equinox. At least this from a styling perspective. This, I kind of like it. I mean, if you think about the Rogue, or you think about the Forester, and then you think at this, I think this is a crisply designed car. And I would like to say I'd consider owning it just for that tailgate. I adore that tailgate. I think the front looks good. I think the rear looks good. I think the greenhouse looks good. The problem is, while it looks very crisp, it looks purposeful, and nothing, which is a problem I think that a lot of these mid to late 2000s styles had, nothing got overly large, like headlights and things like that. I could argue the grille should be just a little bit bigger to give this car a little bit more presence. And overall, it ends up being crisp, nice looking, and absolutely forgettable at the same time. And I'll admit, I learned something when they said that this was based on the Caliber. That lowers it a lot for me. Let's see what they say about the engines.
All Outlanders find power from a new 3-liter V6 with variable valve timing. Not quite as powerful as a 6-cylinder Toyota RAV4, the V6 still churns out a respectable 220 horsepower and 204 pound-feet of torque. Fuel efficiency is just about...
For comparison, the V6 in the Equinox made 185 horsepower. That's pretty stout. And again, I haven't gotten to the RAV4 yet, but Mitsubishi engine, I tend to think okay of them, except not as refined. So I'm not going to say much about it.
On par for its segment, government fuel economy ratings are 19 city, 26 highway. We managed a right-on test loop of 23 miles per gallon on regular gas. On the track, our Outlander managed 0 to 60 in a very utility-like 8.9 seconds. The quarter mile was also so-so at 17.1 seconds at 86 miles per hour. Both results a good deal slower than the RAV4 and CX-7. Yet it feels much stronger off the line. The segment's first 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters has a crisp, tight response. By nature, the Outlander indeed drives more like a car. Its unibody design lends itself to a capable and compliant ride, while lighter aluminum roof panels help lower the center of gravity for flatter cornering. Handling hardware includes an all-independent suspension with unexpected front tower bars for added stiffness. Initial turning is crisp, but understeer rises quickly when pushed hard. Stopping is by way of all ventilated disc brakes with ABS and electronic brake force distribution. Halts occurred from 60 to 0 and a longish 134 feet with minimal fade.
Mitsubishi has succeeded in doing less with more. What I mean by that is the Equinox. Comparing it, because it's a V6 and I haven't done the Mazda or the RAV4 here yet. Equinox, 0 to 60 in 8.5, EPA 1925 highway. This, and with a 5-speed automatic, and I gave the Equinox credit for having that 5-speed. This has a 6-speed automatic. It has 35 more horsepower, and it's slower. Let that sink in, while getting worse mileage in their combined loop. I suspect what they didn't say here, this I think the torque on this engine might make it very drivable, right? A very torque-heavy engine for your city driving. But overall, if you were just making a decision based on the numbers, you look at this and be like, where did it all go, right? Now, the rest of it, the slalom and everything else, it looks neat and tidy. It's a compact SUV. I mean, it doesn't look bad, so therefore it's fine. The braking's a little long. Again, if you've got other vehicles that are doing it in, say, 127 feet, something like that, 125, 127, 7 more feet, how much of a big deal are you going to make about that? But it once again is just Mitsubishi. I think of them more of as an engineering company, not the superlative result I kind of expected. honestly.
Inside, find a far more refined cabin that, like the exterior, boasts a stylish and performance-oriented feel. A textured dash houses a motorcycle-inspired gauge cluster as well as cockpit-like controls. All trims include air conditioning, cruise, keyless ignition, power windows and lock, as well as front side impact and 2-row side curtain airbags for comprehensive occupant protection. Our XLS tester came stacked with power driver's seat, seat heat, automatic climate, auxiliary steering wheel controls, and optional 650-watt 9-speaker Rockford Fosgate stereo. A navigation system with hard drive map and music storage are also available. The spacious and sliding second row seat has room for 3 and a 60-40 split folding feature. In our XLS, tumble the second row forward to gain access to child-only third row seating that neatly folds flat into the floor. So lo and behold, the Outlander is yet another compact crossover 7-seater. Cargo room behind the second row measures at 39 cubic feet. Folding down the second row allows an ample 72.6 cubic feet of storage. The new Outlander's cargo floor is 8.1 inches lower. That plus the split hatch makes for very easy loading. Though pricing was not...
Wow. Okay. So at the rear here, talking about the cargo space, that with the seats down at least, that puts it near the top of all of them we've looked at in terms of the space available. The back seat, it's kind of funny. The first one you see where they're like, the back seat slides forward and back, you're like, that's really cool. After about 3 or 4 of these, where they all do exactly the same thing, you realize it's not worth mentioning as much as you thought it was. You know what I mean? Up front, I don't have a big problem with this. I love the fact that they actually have a radio and separate navigation versus the other ones we've seen where they've got this huge unit just stuck in the middle of the dash that's the radio and the navigation with all the buttons, and that's not a problem. I like that better than sticking an infotainment screen up on top of the dash. But every one of them, they looked like they created the center stack and then just cut a hole out and stuck a radio in the middle from Pep Boys. This, I like this better. Hate the gauges. All right, motorcycle inspired, whatever. That would keep me, as much as I love the tailgate, I hate the gauges that much. They balance, right? I'm a Libra. Would it keep me from owning this car? No. But overall, the ergonomics look fine. Of course, it's black. It looks depressing to sit in, but they're using that silvery plastic to kind of brighten things up a little bit. I'm not going to go on about it like I have for 12 videos. It almost works. It doesn't look upscale. And the problem is that generally, while there's no problem here, there's nothing here that I dislike. I like the big knobs for the HVAC. It ends up being unbelievably unmemorable. I would encourage you right now, pause the video and go sketch what that interior just looked like. I don't think you could do it. It's absolutely anonymous, but I don't have a problem with it.
Not available when we went to tape. The base price for an Outlander is expected to be about $22,500. Even after adding on the upgrades, the Outlander looks to be the V6 bargain of its compact crossover class. Higher style, more car-like response, and clever features are all efforts in the right direction. Enough so that not only do we think a lot more people will notice the 2007 Mitsubishi Outlander, they likely will drive one home as well.
What a understated review. I mean, honestly, they were like, people might drive one home. Yeah, it's great. It's fine. And that's kind of how I feel about it. Mitsubishi doing this channel and doing these reactions, and I've done many Mitsubishis now. Mitsubishi makes me sad because I didn't realize how many cars they made that I really liked. You know, the Diamante, when I looked at it, blew me away. There was a couple of different generations of the Gallant that I liked. The Lancer, you know, all of them were, because Mitsubishi is part of a huge conglomerate. Autos are a pretty small part of it. And for almost all my life, it feels like they just never put the effort in. Like they always, almost always were aiming for good enough. We can sell this. And that the American market, for as big as it is, always felt kind of secondary, right? You know, that they were building, say, the Lancer more for, I don't know, Brazil. And hey, let's sell it in America too, because a Lancer versus a Civic of the same era, the Civic was by far nicer. And smoother and more refined and less gravelly. And same things with the Corolla. And then you can look at this and see the same thing. They're hitting the high points. But other than the V6, why would you buy this over a CR-V? A RAV4. You know, I think it's got good but anonymous styling. I think the interior is good but anonymous. And it just feels like they reached that good enough point and put it out there. Mitsubishi, with very few exceptions, specifically like the Eclipse, you know, at least a generation or two of the Eclipse, and some of the Lancer Evolutions and things like that, they had so much more potential. And so doing this channel and doing these reactions and seeing this, I get sad because, you know, think about the Montero and the Montero Sport and the Mitsubishi pickup trucks and everything else. And well, I'm just sad they let themselves go, right? And now they're struggling for any kind of relevancy whatsoever. This is not, I'm struggling with it, right? You can hear it in my voice. I like this, but I can't see a single compelling reason to get it over something else. And unfortunately, while I like the clean styling, because there's been several other things we've looked at that I'm like, ugh, I don't think I would want to be seen in it. It's just ugly. This, I think, is pretty nicely looking. I think it looks kind of crisp, but I don't think I'd spend the money for it versus one of the other competitors out there. Let me know what you think below, guys. I appreciate you spending just a few minutes with me here today.